Welcome everybody to another webinar in the webinar series with Nautilus and the Potomac Tech Bridge and Naval Surface Warfare Division Dahlgren. We're excited to present to you Navy SBIR. And today we have Jacob McElhaney. Did I pronounce your last name correct, Jacob, or did I butcher that?
You're close. A lot of
Close.
people get it way worse, but it's McElhaney. Yep.
McElhaney. And Jacob he is the Deputy Program Manager for NAVSEA SBIR. Before that, he was Chief of Staff of NAVSEA SBIR program and has deep expertise on the Small Business Innovation Research Grant Program. If you're not familiar, that's what SBIR stands for. And so he's going to do about a 30-minute presentation and be open for Q&A. As you have questions during the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat. But if it gets lost in the chat as the chat gets long, feel free to copy paste it again at the end as we open up the Q&A session, and we can either read it out loud to Jacob or we can actually turn your microphone on and you can ask the question. And I will say we'll be recording this session until we get to the Q&A portion, and then we'll turn the recording off. So without further ado, Jacob, feel free to take over and share your screen.
All right. Thank you, Graham. And while I'm getting my screen up, just want to say thank you for Nautilus, Naval Surface Warfare Dahlgren, and the Potomac Tech Bridge for giving me, NAVSEA, and the Navy a opportunity to talk about our SBIR program, STTR program. Really looking forward to it. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Ken.
Yep. Awesome. Fantastic. So been real quick about me. I've been with NAVSEA SBIR for 6 years or so, going on 7. So I've got good experience here. But I will say if you stump me with something, if we got a question that we're not able to answer, I got a couple of my team members in here, so but we'll take that back and be sure to get you a good answer on it. Additionally, want to shine. One thing I'll mention about the SBIR and the STTR program is I think they're a little lesser known out of different government programs, but an extremely valuable program, not only for small business, but also the federal government at large to work on innovative technologies and pass that along to, in our case, out to the sailors and warfighters. All right, go ahead. Okay, so kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. This is our official mission. I'm not going to read all of our slides for you guys. I'll be on them long enough that I believe you can read through them fast enough. But basically, cliff notes of this one: we want to accelerate innovative technologies and accelerate innovation in general. We want to push that out to the warfighter, our sailors, our Marines, as well as develop the small businesses that are in the ecosystem here within the United States, and really build up that small business industry base, specifically for the federal government in this case, but also outside of that. We'll also mention down at the bottom, that last bullet, fostering technology transfer through R&D with small businesses and research institutions. That's another thing specific to STTR. We work with our universities and research institutions within the United States here. So they're another entity that really gets to capture and develop through the STTR program. Real quick on this slide, this is basically how we get the authority to do what we do. All the advantages of the SBIR program, you can look it up in the United States Code there. Then also, if you really are bored one day and you really want to know about SBIR, go read the policy directive. It's a lot of legalese, but I mean that's where we get our authorities from. All right, so on this one, this is a run through basically where we fall within the federal government. You got SBA, then all the different agencies there fall under DoD, us, Navy, and then all the individuals listed there are the Navy SysCom program managers. Specifically, my boss, Jason Schrepfer, there under NAVSEA, but also all of his counterparts at the different SysComs. And I will also mention at the Navy level, the acting program manager at the moment is Brian Shipley. He's been with Navy SBIR real long time, well before I ever got here. And he replaced another gentleman. His name's Bob Smith. Bob just retired a few months ago. He's been around for SBIR in such a long time. So anyone that knows about Navy SBIR, you heard about Bob, and now Brian is taking over his position as acting program manager. Okay, so kind of now we're into the meat and potatoes, I would say, about SBIR as well as specifically Navy SBIR. And one thing we always want to call out is how we plan for success at the start of our program at phase one, even in topic development. And I would say it's really special to the Navy specifically. We're aligning our topic areas, we're aligning our companies, we're aligning everything with the goal of transition at the end of the project. Specifically, we're connecting the transition sponsors, transition targets early on in the phase one, so that we can plan to actually transition the technology at the end. We're planning for success, and I think that's what really leads to Navy's success and in phase three transition. We'll get into it a little bit later in the brief, but Navy specifically is the best in DoD when it comes to phase three transitions, and DoD is the best in the federal government. So, little thing we like to tout there. Additional other great advantages to doing SBIR specifically with the Navy. There's the STP program, the SBIR transition program. It's been around for 25 years, as well as some other programs that we've bought on, DONSEC, Navy Launch, our private capital education. All of that we'll touch a little bit later. We're also leveraging different areas of the industrial base there with socially and economically disadvantaged persons, as well as people who are new to the Navy, never worked with them. Middle United States, is nowhere close to an ocean, but we work with them. That takes up about 41% of new phase ones annually. Okay, over to really, you've been hearing me already talk about it: phase ones, phase twos, phase threes. So what are these? Well, first I'll mention, and Grant, you mentioned it earlier, is grants are a part of thing of SBIR across the federal government, but specifically within DoD, Department of Navy, we only do contracts. So we're a contracting organization. We won't be releasing grants. We only do contracts, whether on our phase ones, firm fixed price, phase twos, cost plus fixed fee. So essentially the way we lay it out is will release a topic. People might ask, what's a topic? Well, that's a area that, or a problem the Navy is facing, that we want innovative small businesses to fix. Want to give us an innovative solution to it, something that we're not going to go hire a Lockheed Martin or a Raytheon to address. So that's an example. Think of a topic example here would be one of the popular ones we always mention is oilless deep fat fryer for going on a submarine. Tiny little thing, something a big isn't really going to focus on, but that could be a huge thing for a small business. Another one is it's really popular in the shipyards is cool suits, something that a welder can wear while they're in between the hulls on a submarine welding in the middle of July. I mean, if you're up here in the DC metro area, you know how hot it's been recently. So all different examples of topic areas, as well as SBIRs that have fallen under those topics. All right, so on this slide specifically, phase one is a firm fixed price contract, and that's really broken into two areas right now, which is what we call our normal solicitation or our focused topics. You're going to start with I was about to say more NAVSEA specific, but across the Navy, you're going to have a 140K base for 1 year pop, and then you're going to receive a 100K option if you get picked up for phase two, and that's going to be, again, 100K for 6 months. Then you jump down to our open topics. This is something we started doing last year, doing it again this year. It's a broad technology area. We're looking we're looking for basically something that the commercial sector has already thought about, or a solution that's already out there. So it's a higher TRL level that you can bring to us, and we can transition a little bit faster. Again, that one, 175K from fixed price, 10-month pop. Phase twos on our program, this is where we call it the big money again. When you talk about normal acquisitions, it's relatively small, but $2 million is the cap for those for a normal phase two. That's a cost plus fixed fee. The durations of those phase twos will vary across all of those different syscoms. We'll talk about NAVSEA structure a little bit later. Direct to phase two, similar to an open topic, we're looking for, and this will be called out in the BAA. So we release our topics and broad agency announcements 4 times a year. So, anyways, a direct to phase two, not to exceed $2 million, same thing as our normal phase twos, except you're just skipping phase one, going direct to it. Jump over to Catapult. This is it's been around. Everything that Catapult has been around for a long time. We've all now just wrapped it under the umbrella of the name Catapult for kind of branding. But if you've been around SBIR for a while, that is a phase 2.5, a CRP, a sequential phase two, a subsequent phase two, all of these type of names, if you've heard of them before, that all rolls under the Catapult program now. So it's a second phase two where we will leverage again the specific to Navy item. We're gonna bring in our sponsor, our transition source. They're gonna put up some money. We're gonna match it. We're gonna take you forward into like basically halfway to phase three or commercialization. That's the goal of that program. And then the holy grail of the SBIR program, phase three. It's the whole point of the program. We get, this is where you really meet success. This is how we measure our ROI. And a couple things I'm going to call out specifically on phase three. You can't use SBIR money on it. So all the money that we have in our office, we can't give you a phase three contract. We can take you all the way up through Catapult through 2.5, but phase three has to come from your transition source. That's going to be any color money. It doesn't have to be RDT&E. It's going to be O&M funding. It's going to be other government funding. It's sole source. That doesn't have to be competed. It doesn't have to be run through. It's one of the advantages of phase three. And then the way we label something phase three is if it, and this is a key term here, is if it derives from, extends from, or completes a prior SBIR or STTR investment. If it's any of those, we get to classify it as phase three, and then it has all the advantages that come with phase three. And we'll talk about those advantages a little bit later, but it's pretty advantageous part of our program. Okay, so some of you might be wondering, okay, well, SBIR is great, love it. What type of areas are you looking for? Specifically here in the Navy, I'm not going to read through every single one of these, but these are the areas we're looking at. I'll pause on it if anyone screenshots it, or I know we're being recorded. But all call it different buzzwords, but all the big areas that we're looking for: hypersonics, directed energy, advanced materials and quantum science, future G. I mean, that was a new one to me. I learned that one recently, but these are the areas we're looking at. This is what our topics generally fall under. We'll bucket them underneath of these different subject areas. All right, again, some more unique things to Navy. We mentioned them earlier, but this is a little bit more information on them. STP. The STP program has been around for a while. It predates me for a long time, but 25 years. It's a Navy-funded program for anyone who has received a phase two and they decide to play with it. Annual 11-month program. And what we do there is we try to assist those companies in transition. We want the companies to transition. We want you guys to be successful. So they'll be working with mentoring, putting you together with other successful companies, just connecting them. Hey, how did they do it? There's 3 main events during the year. I think one's at West. Yeah, we have an event at West. We have a NAVSEA specific event, technology showcase, and then there's one at Gold Coast. So 3 times a year, we will put together basically a gigantic. If you've ever been to West or Gold Coast or Sierra Space, it's a big pavilion of nothing but SBIR companies. So all the bigs, all the transition partners get to walk through and look at your technology and look at your board and what did you do. So can't speak any more highly of the STP program. Below that, DONSEC or Don SBIR STTR experimentation cell helps get you as an SBIR company, helps get your technology into an area where you need to do some testing, some experimentation, whether that's getting into a specific facility with the Navy, onto a specific platform. That's what DONSEC helps out with. It's huge. I think everyone can attest to, when it comes to trying to get onto a ship do some testing, you got to line up with schedules and you got to have the right connections or, facility clearances. So DONSEC is a another great resource that Navy provides. All right, next tide is Navy launch and private capital education. Again, both of these are relatively new. Launches, we're just again trying to accelerate you into exploring different avenues for transition. Private capital education, this has been something that has been coming up more and more recently, I would say, is venture capital. A lot of companies are curious about what that means when you play with the Navy. If I get a venture capital investment, does that mean I'm no longer allowed to do SBIR? So that's what the answer to that quickly is no, that doesn't mean you can't play with SBIR. There's some more detail that goes into it. But that's the goal of our private capital education program. Leave it on this for real quick if anyone wants to grab anything off of that or write anything down. But this is specifically how to get in touch with the Don team over at Department of Navy, and they put out their newsletters, their all their different outreach events are on Twitter, LinkedIn. Really been pushing outreach hard with Department of Navy SBIR. All right. Oop, didn't know we had a transition in there. Perfect. So this is a kind of more specific to NAVSEA. This is what we call our SALT brief, but SBIR, STTR, advocacy leverage training. We call it level 1. Basically, it's our SBIR 101 stuff. You'll see some stuff that we already covered in the Don brief. Anyone wants to grab my email, it's right there. All right, so this is our team here. One thing I want to cover specifically on here is, you can see me, Vince Labosco, Adrian, Jason, but below there is our technology managers for our different PEOs, our program executive offices, team ships, team subs, HQ and directorates. These TMs, along with the TPOCs, technical points of contact, basically they're the subject matter experts on the project, on the topic. If you're going to be working directly with them, you will be working directly with them. The TPOCs, touch on them, are the ones you're going to work hand in hand with. They're going to help run the contract you're on. They're going to help run the project. And they're aligned to who your transition pathway is going to be. So you want to be always in contact with the technical point of contact. Step up from them, technology managers. So they're out of, we're going to be trying to transition you into one of these PEOs or into one of these teams or HQ and directorates. So they're out of those program executive offices specifically. And they're managing multiple different SBIRs and STTRs across their portfolio and in each of these. And then that all gets wrapped up underneath our program management office with myself, Jason, Vince, and Adrian. So work with your TMs, work with your technical points of contact. And I can't stress that enough. Each of them or the TMs have a team of coordinators for SBIR, but I stress this enough because I've seen that the more in communication with them that you are, the higher success for transition, hands down. Okay, like I said, we're going to get a little bit more specific about our NAVSEA side of the house. So we got our topic development. We go over to BAA, that's over underneath of Navy and DoD, and then you drop down to phase one. For us, like I said, 6-month base for phase one, 6-month option, $240K in total, firm fixed price. Jump over to phase two. This can vary about how we set it up. Our ceiling is 2 million, but generally we set it up with 12-month base, 12-month option, 12-month second option, cost plus fixed fee, and we can generally shift up our funding. A lot of the times we'll start with 700K on the base, 700K on the option, and then I give you your final option at 600K, giving you a total of 2 million. Same thing for us. Jump over to phase three. It doesn't change. It's the same across all of Navy or all of government. And an award that derives from, extends, or completes a prior SBIR effort. That's so important to remember. And this is our BAA schedule. So like I said, 4 times per year. 3 of those are what I would call a normal cycle. So our NAVSEA specifically, we play mostly .1 and A. All of our topics, I think we've got 38 topics for 24.1, but 24.1 is out right now. So that's mainly where we play. And then we'll put something in .2 if it's a very high profile topic, but then finally we have open topic, which is done starting in FY23, so last calendar year, and we play in that as well. We'll put out an open topic, and these are just when it hits pre-release, when it opens, when it closes. All right, this is a little bit more information about our topics, where they come from, and then also to discuss the difference between conventional topic and open topic. I've already hit it. One thing I will say, our topics are developed by the government, not industry. So we can't, industry does not write the topic. They don't say, hey, I've got this really great idea, and then the government posts it, and then they apply, and then they get the contract because they're the only ones. So it's something we really want to preach, that the government's developing them. It's not industry. Something important dichotomy to make aware. So this is some stats specifically about NAVSEA SBIR and STTRs. You'll notice here in terms of budgets, SBIR's got a much larger budget. STTR has a smaller budget, but because of the different qualifications on STTR, there's less companies, and not less companies, but there's less projects involved, which could technically increase your potential of being selected under STTR. So I would say not as utilized as SBIR in entirety because of the research institution that has to be included with STTR. On the right there, you'll see the different topics included in the BAA's proposals, and then number of funding contract actions. We put those stats up there just to kind of help people identify, like, even though dollar value wise, that stuff, contracts that go through our program, everything seems relatively small when you look at us on the scale of the federal government. When you look at it in terms of the number of contract actions that we're sending through in a year, it's well over 1,000. That's including admin actions, changes, and stuff. So anyone that's done anything with federal contracting, it's a pretty significant push through. Drop down to our topic distribution. This is how it's spread out over our syscoms there on the left pie chart. On the right pie chart, similar to Navy, Big Navy, this is where it's spread out in terms of subject area or S&T domain. A lot of stuff is in general warfighting. A lot of that is IWS, but we've also got stuff, AI and ML is growing, autonomy is growing, cybersecurity. All these are different areas that we've gotten a lot of interest in recently. All right, like I said, we were going to talk about phase 3 more because phase 3 is so important to our program. Sorry, I'm looking for my notes. One thing I would really want to point out is that greatest extent practicable um, for phase three. What that means is that if a company is still in business, still wants to do the work, and still capable of doing the work. That's the layman's terms of what greatest extent practicable means. It means the government uh, is justified to give a sole source follow-on contract and is required to give them the phase three follow-on contract. So just remember greatest extent practicable, and remember that means, are you still in business? Are you still capable of doing the work? And do you still want to do the work? If all that's true, and you've got an SBIR, and that SBIR is related to that, derives from, extends from all this information we put out before, that's how you get your phase three. Another couple things to point out specifically on phase three authorities. I already mentioned sole source. It's huge. There's no limit, by the way, to the value or the number of phase three contracts. So those are also very big, important items that come from phase three. So there's not a ceiling on them. It's not a cap, and you can have as many of them as possible. There's no cap on those. Additionally, the SBA, I'll also point out, SBA can compel government, or in this case DoD, to terminate a contract if that contract in and of itself, for all these different reasons I mentioned, should have gone to the SBIR or STTR company. All right, touching on outreach, like I said, especially at Department of Navy, but also NAVSEA, we push very hard on outreach. Like I said, I don't think this program is as well known as it should be, and it's an incredible advantage that we have within the I think industrial base, or especially small business industrial base. So this just a couple pictures. For those of you that know, SecNav is a previous small business owner, so he's a big supporter of not only SBIR but small business programs within the Navy. So we've run into him at a couple of events. Everyone you see down there, obviously, besides SecNav, are all members of our outreach team. If you see any of us at an event, we're going to be here at Gold Coast here shortly. Feel free to come up. We're all nice, relatively, and we'd love to talk to you and talk to you more about SBIR. Then here's just a couple of different points about our outreach program. Then we love to throw these in here. Is this, where is SBIR on our platforms? And again, an SBIR program isn't going to make an LCAC or a DDG or an LPD, but we do make things on them, or our companies do make things on them. And these are just examples of successful SBIRs that are around the fleet. This is specifically PEO ships. Again, I'm not going to read through it all, but on these 3 different platforms. Jump down, team subs here. This is where it's spread out across the different, on the Virginia class submarine. Give everyone a second to digest this. PEO USC is where we're at on these 2 different platforms here. And now PEO IWS, again, it's not like they're on a specific carrier or something, but they touch so many different things. And I know this is kind of more specific to the Dahlgren crowd. IWS is big down there, so all over the place. It's in my opinion huge, where SBIR is small but mighty on a lot of different items. All right, that was everything I have. I think it's time for questions.